name is VapeChilla, your average Pinoy vape reviewer, and today we'll be reviewing Colossus wires, all 5 gauges. Real quick shout out to the winners of the low-key RDAs, Nix and Sketch. Congratulations. Anyhow, on to the review. Since these are only wires, there will be no close-ups. Here's the packaging up front. The Colossus wires are N90 wires, and here's the back of the packaging. It opens up with a simple Ziploc design, and if you're wondering why these are called flat wires, it's because they're actually flat. On screen, I'll just show you guys what these coils look like on an RDA, and right here is a little build guide provided by Colossus wires. So first off, the 27 gauge. We built a 3mm 8-loop space coil. Colossus wires recommends that you build these coils spaced, otherwise compressed it could lower the resistance. Now even though the build guide said it would ohm out to 0.19, this build turned out to be 0.25, and these are what the clouds look like at 70 watts. Now since this is 0.25, it can sort of run series, so I've cranked this up to 100 watts and now it's firing at 5 volts. Let's see how it clouds. Wow. At a higher wattage, this thing clouds like a beast. Let's move on to 25 gauge. And through the magic of editing, we now have the 25 gauge. We've also done a 3mm 8 loop. This one's ohming out to 0.12. So at 90 watts, let's give it a vape. Quite nice. Now at 120 watts, let's give it a vape. That's quite nice. Although at 0.12 it does need quite a bit of power to get it going. So now let's move on to the 23 gauge. Alright, so here we have 23 gauge. Also at 8 loops with 3mm space. What the fuck, that's a long ass coil. Also 3mm 8 loops. This one came out to 0.10. Let's give it a vape at 100 watts. Not bad. Now at 130. Since it's at 0.10, this is borderline mech territory. So 21 and 19 gauge will be done on a mech. Let's move on to 21 gauge. So here we got 21 gauge on the Colossus. Since this is a mech with full batteries, it'll automatically be firing at 4.2 volts. You're in the video, by the way.
For real?
Yeah, when I do the clouds.
I didn't.
At 3mm 6 wraps, this thing is ohming out to 0.09. So let's give it a vape. That is pretty damn strong. It's pretty strong, however, it's nice and chill at the same time. It's not overpowering, you know? And it's quite light on the batteries. Now moving on to 19 gauge. We're all looking forward to this. And now on to the almighty 19 gauge. Extra thick! So this wire, I would say, is strictly recommended for mech mod users. This is a 3mm 6 wraps. It came down to 0.05. Definitely not for beginners, and definitely not for a tube, which is why I'm using it on a parallel mech mod. So you might be wondering, how does this thing vape? Let's give it a vape. Very strong. This is most definitely a cloud chasing build, and although it's super cloudy, the vapor is not really hot. So, down to the pros and cons. Let's start off with the pros. Number 1, you can make some really cloudy builds, even for variables. With the higher gauges, you can get up to at least 0.20. With the lower gauges, you'll probably have to use your mech. Number 2, the endurance of this wire. I've once used the same coils for 2 months, and they still perform just as good. Number 3, no matter your build, you will always get cool vapor. Seriously, I'm impressed. This is a cloud chasing build, yet it's still providing cool vapor. And number 4, with all the surface area, this stuff is actually quite flavorful. Now on to the cons. Now most of these cons vary from person to person. Number 1, these wires are a little tricky to build with. 27 gauge can be really fiddly, and 19 gauge can be really stiff. Number 2, the vapor isn't that hot. Now of course this depends from person to person, but personally I do like a warm vape. And number 3, of course, these wires are not beginner friendly. However many loops you're doing on round wire, you're probably gonna have to add more. Otherwise they're a great all-around wire. Long lasting, great ramp up, and quite flavorful. So that's pretty much it for Colossus wires. Huge thanks to my friend. You can find him on Twitch, UnderratedFatOwl. This video would have taken ages to film without him, so go drop him a follow. You got anything to say?
I'm good, man. I'm just fucking hungry.
So if you like this review, make sure to subscribe down below to stay tuned for more videos in the future. If you have any more questions or comments about this wire, make sure to comment down below and I will reply. I've also got a Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook where I'm posting extra content, so make sure to visit that in the description below. Till next time. Let's get to eating. I'm hungry.